Hi everyone, welcome back to another YouTube video. In today's video, I'm actually going to be discussing some more reasons why you're not losing weight in a calorie deficit. Let's get on with the video. So, I discussed in a previous video about 5 reasons that you're not losing weight in a deficit. And this kind of sparked a couple more questions. I actually did mention that there was 3,500 calories in a pound of fat. And I just wanted to say here that despite you creating this calorie deficit, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to step on the scale and be a pound down. The body just does not work that way. As you might know, sometimes you might step on the scale and have gained 3 pounds overnight. Sometimes you might step on the scale and have lost a couple pounds overnight. It definitely differs based on like what you've eaten, water weight, how much water you've drank. What the scale shows isn't necessarily the truth. So this could be a reason why you're actually feeling like, oh, well, I've created this deficit, but I'm not actually losing weight. It could just not be showing yet. So I'd say give it a couple of weeks. And if you still aren't seeing any changes bodily, like looking at yourself in the mirror, and if you aren't seeing any changes on the scale, then I'd check your food, see what calories you're intaking, and maybe just go over that again and double check, make sure that you are actually consuming the right amount of food to create a proper deficit for yourself. So number 2 is that your calories aren't actually correct. So there are some TDEE calculators online. TDEE stands for Total Daily Energy Expenditure, if you didn't know. Once you get onto this website, you can just input your details and it will basically tell you everything in terms of what kind of calories you need to eat for a deficit, what kind of calories you need to be consuming to gain weight, and what kind of calories you need to be consuming to maintain your weight. So one key thing in this department that I see people not doing is they don't change it as they lose weight. So what happens when you lose weight is your resting metabolic rate, or your RMR, actually decreases because bigger bodies need more energy at rest just to survive, whereas a smaller body weighs less, so it requires less energy to survive. So as you lose weight, this is going to decrease. Say for example, you start your journey and your resting metabolic rate is 1,600 calories. Once you lose some weight, this might decrease to 1,400 calories. However, if you don't actually weigh yourself and track this again and recalculate all of these statistics, you'll still be consuming the 1,600 and you'll still be expecting to lose weight from this. However, if your RMR is now 200 calories less than this, you'll actually be gaining weight. So this is a massive mistake where I see people going wrong because they do just forget to recalculate their BMR. So just make sure that you are retracking this every time that you lose some weight. Make sure that it's like every 2 weeks or so that you do actually re-input all of your data and change this, because like I say, it will decrease and eventually you'll hit a plateau and you'll be like, well, why am I not losing weight? And that's why, because you're actually probably eating at either maintenance or you're eating at a surplus because your resting metabolic rate has decreased. So my third reason then is that popular apps like MyFitnessPal actually ask you how active you are in order to work out your calories. So there is a little questionnaire when you join MyFitnessPal that asks, are you inactive? Are you lightly active? Are you very active? Are you extremely active? And based on your answer to this question, it will actually add extra calories onto your basal metabolic rate or your RMR. If you are not as active as what you've said you are, then you will be consuming the amount of calories they're telling you to consume based off of a very active lifestyle. So in this case, if you're not as active as what you've told the app that you are, you will end up gaining weight because they've overestimated how many calories you burn on a daily basis. Also, it does actually add on the exercise calories. So if you go for a run and it tracks that you've burned 100 calories, it will actually add these on to your total daily calorie intake. So I'll try and put a little screenshot on the screen. You have like your total intake that you're supposed to have for the day, and then you have the amount that you've actually eaten, and then you have the amount of exercise that you've done. If you've done any exercise, it will actually add these into your total daily calorie limit without you knowing. So then you'll be looking at that number thinking, oh, well, I've got 100 calories here on top of my total thing. When really you don't, because that was the exercise calories that you needed in order to be in a deficit. So you'll end up just being at maintenance if you actually eat the exercise calories that you've burned. So this is a good thing to remember, that it does actually add on your exercise calories, and if you can, then I would recommend changing the settings so you know what you've burned and what you've eaten. Also, you don't necessarily know that these exercise calories are accurate, because MyFitnessPal itself is very inaccurate. It's literally a phone tracker. So if that's the one that's adding the calories in for you, then it's probably wrong. If you're adding in the calories yourself based off maybe an exercise machine like a treadmill, studies do show that actually those calories can be overestimated by around 50%. So those calories are extremely inaccurate. They don't measure your weight, they don't measure your height, anything like that. So any person can get on that treadmill and it will say the same thing. It still obviously considers how fast you run, the distance that you run and stuff like that, but it doesn't actually consider how heavy you are and how tall you are. So this can become a massive issue because not everyone burns the same amount of calories at the same rate. Bigger people will burn more calories doing the same exercise than a smaller person would. And there's also things like little Fitbits that tell you you've burned all kinds of calories, and really you actually haven't. Even though they are great little technology pieces, like they do track, you know, steps, and they track the distance that you've gone and all that kind of stuff, completely fine. It is good at tracking those things, but I can shake my wrist and it will track steps. You know, I've been washing up today. I did 5,000 steps on my run, and I've cleaned up a little bit since then inside the flat, but it's now saying that I've walked 9,296 steps, and if I keep doing this it will track even more. So it's tracked now 9,300 steps, and that's just not true because I haven't walked anywhere, and I probably haven't burnt the calories that those 10 or so steps would have counted for. So it's completely inaccurate, the amount of calories that it tells you that you're burning. So this is why I only track the exercise. I use the Fitbit to calculate how many calories I've burned during the run as an estimate, and then I ignore the rest because I don't think it's accurate, and your heart rate cannot actually accurately measure how many calories you burn. If you look at some studies, it's not an accurate measure at all. I don't want to demotivate you by saying that, but it's true. If you've been going off a Fitbit, or if you've been going off MyFitnessPal or cardio machines or whatever it might be, then it's most likely overestimating or it's completely wrong. You can never be 100% accurate. So my tip here would to just be not to add in any exercise calories. You do your exercise and you pretend that those calories were never even burned. You just continue to eat your maintenance. Don't add in any extra calories. Don't think, oh, I went for a run so I can eat this brownie. Just try to keep them as your guarantee that you're in deficit. So finally then, this can be a huge issue, and that is eating out. I obviously understand that right now we can't really go out to a restaurant. However, takeaway is still available, and you don't know what is going into that food. Yes, lots of websites put on their nutritional information, but is their chef a machine? Do they weigh everything out that they give to you, or do they just chuck it in the box, it goes, and they don't count it, they don't measure it, whatever? If this is the case, then you either need to buy yourself some food scales and weigh it out yourself, which can make it a lot more accurate in terms of calorie counting. If you don't have any food scales, and if you're not going to buy any, then I would just say to use it as a cheat day because you're never going to know how many calories are in that food that you're eating out. They use different measurements of oils, they use all kinds of different ingredients that you might not even know are there. Each portion will be different, unless it's like a factory that has like machinery that measures everything out equally. Then it's highly unlikely that it's going to have the same amount of calories in it each time. On the menu it might have the nutritional information, but is your portion size that exact same? It's most likely not going to be. Human error is a real thing, guys. And like I say, that is absolutely fine. If you're having a cheat day, then by all means. But if you're trying to lose weight and you're eating out every single day, then it's highly unlikely that you're going to get anywhere because you don't know what is in that food. You just have no information overall about what it is that is going into your body. So I'd just say that if this is the case, then just persevere for a few months and try not to eat out, or try to eat out as little as possible. And that's the only way that you're going to know for sure what's going into all your food, because you're making it yourself. Alright, so that is everything for today's video then, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please do leave me a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel down below. Also, you can find me on Instagram and you can find me on Twitter. I will leave them both on the screen. If you would like to see more content from me, then don't hesitate to click one of the videos that are showing up on the screen right now. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!